You're watching Masters in Trading Live with Jonathan Rose.
Hello, where am I? Let me just fix my camera, guys. And this does show we are absolutely live, because then I gotta fix my camera and I gotta center myself. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another edition of Masters in Trading Live. My name is Jonathan Rose, and every single day we get on here at 11 o'clock Eastern, where we go over the market, and each day we're gonna go over 3 to 4 bullet points. Today's bullet points. Number one is, who's in charge? Is it the VIX? Is it volatility? Is it the NASDAQ? Is it bonds? Is it the Fed? I want to look at who's in charge, who's the boss. We've been talking about a lockup trade. The lockup trade is an ALAB. This is the most volatile sucker that we've seen in a while. So we're going to go over this trade because a couple of position management tips for ALAB. Gambling or contests. Dave & Buster's apparently are allowed to risk money in their games, but it's not gambling. These are just contests. And then finally, I'm going to walk you through our trade of the day. So let's go over the charts. All right, friends, I've got you in front, and we are going to start going through the charts. First, who's boss? This is an exercise that I do often. Who is the alpha male in the market? Who's everybody following? Everything is interconnected in the market. Bonds, equities, metals. But there's always going to be something or that's leading the way. So let me pull up my pen right here. And what do we have? We have the SPY, right? So we have the SPY, which is going to be right here, which is going to be this light blue or a pumice color. And then we have the TLT. They kind of look correlated, right? I'm looking at 30 days going back to April 1st. The TLT bonds and equities start separating a little bit here. Here, they certainly move in different directions. Okay, let's go on to the next chart. The next chart is going to show us the VIX, which is a measure of volatility, a measure of uncertainty, and again, bonds. Bonds in the beginning of April, bonds strong, volatility weak. Volatility trades higher, there's more uncertainty in the market. When volatility trades higher, what's happening right now with bonds? Well, when volatility trades higher, in April, bonds have traded lower. You'll notice back here, volatility started dropping once again, and bonds didn't react so much. They tried to rally, but didn't rally so much. So who's leading who? Is it just the blind following the blind? Here's another one. Volatility, VIX, SPY, SPY, not SPX. Sorry about that. Now, these two, SPY, overall market, right? VIX, volatility. As volatility goes higher, what do we know about the market? As volatility goes higher, the market most often trades lower. So these two seem to be opposites, if anything, right? VIX trades higher, S&P trades lower. I say at the conclusion of every single live, I'm a big believer that the creative trader wins. I want you to look at the market from a different perspective than everybody else looks at the market. The next slide. Look at these two. They look to be exactly the same, right? They move together, they move together, they move together, they move together. Now, once in a while, once in a while, you'll see them separate. This is a trade opportunity. When you see something, two things that are correlated that separate, those are trade opportunities. Now, what is this chart? Well, this chart is the SPY, again, not the SPX, the SPY against the VIX. But you know what I did? Because the creative trader wins, I'm looking at this, the SPY, I inverted it. On most trading platforms, you can just put a negative in front and it will invert it. So if you look at equities using the SPY and you look at it inverted, and then you look at the VIX, that is where you're going to see that extremely tight correlation. So if I go back to the previous slide, here's the VIX against the SPY. The SPY is not inverted. Here, I inverted the SPY so you can see they are moving together. The conclusion? Follow that VIX. Specifically, shorter term VIX measures like the VIX 1D and the VIX 9D and the VIX to figure out where the market is going. When the VIX or volatility trades higher, the market trades lower. A really cool, creative way of looking at the market. Locked up. Locked up. What happens? An IPO lockup. Every IPO does this. IPOs come out, they support the stock for 6 months. Oftentimes, 70% plus of that stock is locked up. The stock that's locked up is the directors, the early investors in the company. They don't want this stock to go public, and then they flood the market with their shares. So in a lockup, an IPO lockup, there's support. ALAB. ALAB is a lockup trade that we shared a couple of weeks ago. Here is this is a 1 minute chart. I just added this into Discord. What I said is, hey guys, if you're in ALAB, you need to work what's called limit orders. Limit orders are orders that you're able to put in the options book and leave it there. And if you get filled, great. And if you don't get filled, no harm, no foul. If a stock's at 10 and you want to sell it at 12, you could just leave a limit order in to sell at 12. If you get filled, cool. And if you don't get filled, it doesn't cost you any money to use a limit order in the market. So yesterday, I warned everybody, hey guys, if you're in this stock, it is super volatile. I need you to work limit orders. Let me explain why. Let me dig into this a little bit more. ALAB is a name that we shared, again, a couple of weeks ago. ALAB has its IPO. 6 months after its IPO, it has its lockup. If ALAB rallies, we are buying puts. I do not think that ALAB can sustain its trade up here. This is the behavior of all IPOs that we follow. It goes like this, and inevitably, it starts to go lower. But the problem is, this is a very, very, very volatile stock. So, if it goes against you, you can't think, oh shit, ALAB goes against me. Should I get out? I'm scared. The market went against me. No. The reason why you got into the trade is because it's a lockup trade. We want to hold lockup trades for the 6 months until after that lockup. So if I go to the next chart and I take out that weird red squiggly line, here's ALAB. ALAB, I actually have it on a 3 minute. But what I want you to see is once you're in, ALAB has these big, big moves. So you need to work limit orders. So for instance, a limit order would be if you're in the 60 puts or $55 puts and you bought them for $3, you could leave an order, a limit order in the market, sell to close and selling it for $5. leave a limit order in the market and let's lock in 75% or more on some of your last trades, but we will stick with A-Lab until its lockup. Dave & Buster's, ticker symbol play. Now, I've got to be totally honest with you. I'm a little bit of bias. I have 2 children, and I hate going to Dave & Buster's. It is like the bane of my existence. Luckily, I don't have to go there anymore, but this has nothing to do with the stock. This is just my personal feeling that I spend too much money, and it's the dirtiest place ever. But nevertheless, Dave & Buster's released some crazy news. Dave & Buster's to allow betting on arcade games. Now, I wish I was a kid because, geez, it would be a super fun time to go to the arcade, not only to put your quarters in the machine, but you can actually bet. That seems like it's something different. I never thought we'd be able to go to Dave & Buster's. I grew up in New Jersey. I never thought we'd be able to go to the arcade on the boardwalk. And instead of putting a quarter in those pleasure machines, as Bruce Springsteen would say, we actually get to gamble. This is a crazy precedent that is being set. April 30th, this just came out. Well, the company that's coming out and that's doing this partnership with Dave & Buster's is called Lucra. Lucra, as it turns out, has a tennis app as well with 150,000 downloads. They've collected more than $20 million. They created by some Stanford graduates. These guys got a bunch of NFL guys that are backing this company as well. I know Zach Ertz from he went to Stanford, and I believe he plays on the Cardinals now. Used to play on the Eagles, is a big investor in this company. So a lot of NFL guys getting involved. What does it mean? I don't know. But I think this is the beginning of some discussion about what's gambling and what's not gambling, because this is a slippery slope of kids getting into not only being able to play all kinds of sports gaming, but now can go to the arcade and gamble. That's pretty crazy. My personal feelings, I think this is interesting news. Overall on the stock, if we look long term, regardless of news, this is weekly going back to 2021, 3 and 4 standard deviation bands. Play is very, very, very expensive. So I don't like buying this stock at all. I am sharing this because I just think it's really cool news, and it's definitely a story that I'm going to be following, and I would encourage you to follow along as well. We got a divergence trade for you for the trade of the day. What's a divergence trade? A divergence trade, it's a relative value trade. Coke and Pepsi are moving together. When Coke and Pepsi separate, that's a divergence. You could make a trade betting on that divergence to come back. Well, check out this divergence. Silver and platinum. Silver and platinum, going back to 2021, these metals have been correlated for far longer than just 4 years. But you can see they love each other. They are brother and sister. Once in a while, silver gets away, but they are together, skipping in the woods, having a grand old time, right? Until silver took the wrong path and platinum is lost. It doesn't know where silver is. Right now, platinum is incredibly inexpensive relative to silver. Plus, we have inflation. So you're going to tell me platinum is cheaper than it was going back in 2021 and 2022 when we have a good deal more inflation in the market? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. It shouldn't make sense to you. How can we trade this? Platinum's kind of tough to trade. You could trade platinum futures, but that's kind of tough to trade too. Platinum futures are kind of illiquid. 40% of the platinum that's mined in the globe is by Anglo American. There's an ADR, symbol NGLOY. 40% of the platinum. Now, the trade of the day is not going to be an NGLOY, but I wanted you to see that NGLOY recently has broken out. Super, super strong, gets above its 200 period moving average, messed around for them a little bit, and then trades higher to 17. Again, 40% of the world's platinum comes from NGLOY. The trade that I like is not NGLOY, which is right here. I like PLTM. PLTM is a name that we've followed at Masters in Trading for the last 5 years. PLTM, you'll see, is right kind of in that middle of its range. When you look at the physical platinum, it's already rallied. PLTM has not yet rallied. Sadly for us, there are no options on this stock. But what I do like is I like buying the stock. Buying the stock, last price, 9.10. We have long-term inflation. We have platinum, very, very inexpensive relative to silver. Now the big takeaway, I'll go all the way over here because my camera's all goofy. The big takeaway today is look at things from a different angle. The platinum trade. When I saw how inexpensive platinum was to silver, I got excited. But that's the first step. The next step is, how do we express that opinion? Well, when I started searching the physical platinum producer, where they produce 40% of global platinum, that sucker's already up 40%. It's gone. Be creative. Find another opportunity. That's where I found PLTM. Let's get long. PLTM, that's the trade of the day. Remember, guys, trade smart. The creative trader wins. I'll see you tomorrow live, 11 o'clock Eastern.
Join us every weekday at live.mastersintrading.com.